Hello and welcome to Jaga. Today we're going to show you how to set up your RF link for your oxygen ventilation system. So firstly we need to open up our Windows Explorer and browse to our C drive. Within the C drive you will find the Jaga directory, assuming the software has been installed correctly. Within that directory there will also be many other programs as you may have installed, but today we're going to use the RF link software. Access the folder and you'll find Jaga RF link.exe and open the application. Once the program opens, it will tell you that your RF dongle has not been installed or not connected to your machine. Simply connect the dongle and the port will be recognized instantly. In this case, COM port 14. Select COM port 14 and save and exit before proceeding to the next level of the software. The software has minimized, but it's there still running in the background. So we're now going to start a new project. So click the new project button and type in the name of your project. In this case, we're going to use the term English Demo 1. And click on the Next Step button. Initially now, the RF software is scanning for all RF devices within the local vicinity. And you will appear now a site number, which will be between 1 and 98, depending on how many sites are in the vicinity. It will always select the lowest number. This can be modified to suit your installation. In this case, we're going to use site number 9. So we've typed in our site number. Again, if you're modifying this number, it does need between 001 and 098. Next step. So now it's asking us under what legislation we're setting this system up. For the purposes of today's demonstration, we're going to use the Belgian legislation. Next step. So we're now looking at a house that's had oxygen installed, for which we have the plans here, and you can see in this on the right hand side here we have 2 bedrooms and a living room with ventilation coming in, the numbers in the blue, and a bathroom, a toilet, utility room and a kitchen with extract points, and the numbers in red represent the extract rates. So we'll go back to our RF software and we're going to start by adding a room. And this is for the refresh units. So we're going to add a room, and the first room we're going to add is the living room. Which we will try and spell correctly. Next step, and we're going to select living room. Now from our drawing we can see that the living room has a requirement of 108 meters cubed per hour. So we'll go back to our RF software and set the flow rate here by sliding or by moving the slider left or right, either with the arrows, or by dragging and dropping the slider until we reach the value here to match what our design requirement is. In this case 108. Next step. Now we need to add a unit for the refresh for the ventilation inlet. So click the Add Unit button, and it's giving you an instruction here to press the button on the control panel of the refresh unit. So a simple, very quick press of the button will generate the serial number that it finds. Obviously this is the serial number of the first unit in the living room. And you can see this unit has been set to be a Belgian unit, manual control, so there's a push button on there, and also CO2 control, and the type of fan that it is, and the maximum ventilation capacity of that unit. Okay, this is as per all the details that are printed on the label on the end of the control box. But you can see these two values here showing in red. That's because we require 108 in the room, but the maximum we can get from our unit is 75. So we need to add a second unit, which has been installed in the space. So same process again, click, press the button, all the details come through. It's always worth just checking this serial number does match the one that's on the label on the control panel, and okay. Now you'll see that the red highlighting has been removed, so you can see that it's split that 108 now over two units at 54 each. So we'll add our second room. This time it's going to be bedroom 1. And it's a bedroom. Bedroom 1 had a requirement of 58, as shown on the plan. So again, move the slider until we achieve 58. Next step. And we're going to add a unit. Again, push the button. Unit details come through. And OK. In this case, it hasn't gone red, because the one unit providing maximum of 75 was sufficient to achieve the 58 we needed. We'll add the last room. Bedroom 2. Again, it's a bedroom, in this case a much smaller room that only needed 44 meters cubed per hour. So we can change that to 44. Now we need to add the final unit. Again, a short press on the button. Details come through. Check the serial number matches, and OK. Again, hasn't gone red because we have sufficient capacity in the unit to meet the requirements of the space. So that's all of our refresh units now installed into the software. So now we need to add our extract fans. So we need to add an extract box by clicking on the plus button. And it tells us to press the minus button on the extract box for a very short press. And this is less than half a second press. And you'll see the serial number comes through. What you then need to do is type in a location, to tell you where the unit is installed, and in this case it's installed in the ceiling. So we'll click OK. We now have the extract box shown here. So you highlight the extract box, it gives you all the details for the unit, but now we need to tell the system which of these rooms that we'd installed in the refresh unit section are associated to this extract box. So click on edit, and we're going to add the living room, bedroom 1 and bedroom 2, and return. And you'll see now, if you highlight the living room, it's showing the 2 serial numbers of the refresh units in the living room, and likewise for the bedroom and the bathroom. Okay, if you make any changes to any of these rooms, you do need to edit, remove the room, and then add it back in afterwards. So now we've installed all our rooms, associated the refresh units to our exhaust box. We need to upload the products, so the next step across the top, to the network system. So if we click on Start, It'll take a few seconds to run through. It connects to each of the devices, and you'll see the numbers coming up here, a quick green flash, and we're looking for all these buttons here to fill green. Another 5 seconds to go. And all gone green, so we're ready to move on to the next step. So the next step is to install the actual extraction points. So we need to add our rooms again. We'll go back to our add room point, and in the room, so the extract point is going to be in a bathroom. Next step is the bathroom, and in this case, again, back to our plans, we can see our bathroom here needs 60 meters cubed per hour, so we change this to be 60. Next step, we've only got one valve installed, one shown, it's okay. Add the second room. In this case, we're going to do the kitchen. Next step, it's an enclosed kitchen, and we'll go back to our plan, and we want 75 meters cubed. So we change that to 75. Next step, but in this instance, we don't have one extract valve point. We've got two, so we add a second valve, and you can see it's split the 75 requirement equally amongst the two valves. Add another room, in this case the utility room, which is a washroom for the purposes of the software, and you can see here we require 50 meters cubed, so we'll set that to 50. Under the Belgian legislation that we selected, that 50 happens to be the minimum requirement for this room. Next step, only one valve as we would expect in a fairly small room. Next room is the toilet. Which has a requirement of 25. Again, this just happens to be the minimum requirement for the legislation. And next step. So that's our 4 extract points as per the 4 extract points we've got on our plan. We can now move on to the last part of the program. This is the fine-tuning and reporting. So we start with the general information on the left-hand side. This is where you can fill in the details of the site and who is actually doing the installation. And you can fill in as much details as you have to complete that table. We're then going to start the fine-tuning mode, and this is the final stages of the commissioning of the system. What this does by clicking on the start fine-tuning mode is sets all or links all the items together and sets them to run in their nominal speed, so that you can then go around and measure and check we are achieving the airflow that the design requires. Once this has gone green, you can then move on to your next point. This is where you can now set the names of the refresh unit. So in this case, we've got a left and a right. because we have 2 refresh units in this room, and we can set in the actual value we measure. Now the system is designed, or the refresh units are designed to run at 54 meters cubed an hour based on a certain input voltage. This voltage can be adjusted using the buttons within the control panel to measure the actual values you're getting, or give you the actual values you need based on ductwork lengths, etc. So in this case we have measured these at, this one is running at 53, and this one we have retuned and is actually running slightly higher at 55. We can now do the same thing in bedroom 1. And we have tuned this one to give us our measured value of 58. So this is essentially calibrating the system now. So we'll do the bed 2. So we've calibrated this one to run at 44. And as you can see now, we have the values that within that space match what we need. You can see the 108, 58 and the 44. We can now do the same thing to calibrate our valves by adjusting them as we need to get our 60, in this case 37, 38, etc. So we've calibrated this one to achieve 60. This one is now achieving, we have measured at 37. This one's measuring 38. The utility, we're measuring at 51. And the toilet, we're measuring at 24. We can then stop the fine-tuning mode. This is ending the calibration and returning the system to its normal operating mode based on the CO2 level within the space. Now the system is running in its normal day-to-day operating mode. The next step is to place the label. So the extract unit has been supplied with 3 independent labels, and they will have a different value here. So it'll either be 250, 350 or 450, depending on what the requirements is for the system. So you will now need to attach the label, in this case it says 250 on it, to the side of the refresh unit as shown. The last step is to create your reports that need to be sent to the appropriate authorities for your certification. So you can see now we can preview the auditor's report, and this gives us all the details. You can see that we've got 210 meters cubed per hour coming in and 210 meters cubed per hour being extracted. So a fully balanced ventilation system. You can then save this report to email or distribute as necessary. You can also preview the product report. So this will give you all your ID numbers, which is useful for the handover files and for the end client. You can then, as I said, save these reports, and they save them in a PDF file. These will then be saved on your hard drive, and you can use them as you need to. You've now got the file here that will then be saved once you exit the program. and exit the program. Do you want to save changes? Yes, we do. Your system is now up and running, all RF linked. Should you require any further assistance, please don't hesitate to contact Jaga.